Welcome to the Bad Samaritan podcast. Let's get this thing going. Today we're going to go over our week one of the preseason review of Trey Lance and the 49ers. Get you a little bit of an insight about the offense and the defense and some predictions for this upcoming season. Let's kick it off. Chava,
What's up, man?
your boy, he's back. Kinda. Thoughts?
Thoughts? It's tough. It's just bad on bad for Trey Lance right now. He looked like he was trying to do things that he wasn't good at, and that's tough when you're under a magnifying glass. So he just underperformed in places that he sucked, which is admirable.
Yeah, I think definitely from the game plan, it looked like Kyle was trying to put Trey in situations that were challenging. A lot of what I've been kind of seeing from the beat writers and hearing, whether it's his accuracy or short game struggles, I think Kyle wanted to see if he could do it in live action. I haven't given up on him. I definitely think that he didn't look great, but you know what? Like the offensive line wasn't too great. Can't be too sure that all the people that were on the field in terms of skill positions were actually like blocking and running the right routes. So it was a good, muddy, messy, first quarter for him. It did look like he kind of settled into himself. But from the one thing that I was concerned is that he just holds on to the ball for too long. So whether it's the offense, whether it's the wrong route, he's holding on to that ball way longer than he should. And I think he needs to either develop some confidence or just be a little bit more decisive with his reads.
Yeah, I think going back to your point saying Kyle put him into a lot of tough situations just to see how we react to him. We were just watching some highlights, and we just watched him go under center and do a rollout pass, and he just looked much more comfortable doing that than his first drive in shotgun and not reading the reads correctly. But yeah, he does hold on to the ball a lot. It looks like he's unsure of himself. So I think it'd be nice for him to get some freebies once in a while,
Yeah, I just don't think he's going to get that anymore. I think, this whole thing about bust or wasted pick, the team is just in a different spot now. And I don't think that Kyle's going to go out of his way the way he was going out of his way in 21 and 22 to, create this little kind of power run thing he was doing for him, or kind of like, switching the quarterbacks in the middle of it. He's going to expect Trey to do what Purdy and Sam Darnold are going to be doing, which is just dropping back and making reads. And, that's just where the team's at right now. This team, more than in 21 and 22, coming off an NFC Championship game with the roster that they have, is ready to compete. And if Trey can't fit into that system, then Trey is just going to be third string on the bench, or maybe even less than that. But that being said, with the way the contract's built and the way the salary cap goes, there's no value in moving him or trading him. He's on a rookie deal. We lose more by cutting him, and I think we just have to let him sit. I mean, it's just going to be, keeping him healthy and the same conditions that all of a sudden kind of took him out of the running. We're just an injury two away where he might see significant playing time. But, I mean, you watch that first quarter, and even when you see Sam Darnold come in, he just has a lot more just confidence and delivery of things. But that's to say that Trey still has a lot of time. But unfortunately on this team, he's just not going to get the reps.
So, Sam, is Trey Lance in the doghouse?
I think he is unofficially, but Kyle and John are not going to say anything of the sort. I think if we compare the Trey thing to the Kinlaw thing to the BA thing, Brandon Ayuk, and when I say the thing, it's like this tough love kind of old school, check you and put you on blast. We're kind of seeing Steve Wilkes, the defensive coordinator, do that with Nichols, that nickel DB that we got, just basically saying that his position is up for grabs. They're definitely not doing that with Trey. All the negativity that you're getting is from just media and fans and, wannabe whatever experts. And everything from Colin John is kind of, just very positive in a way, saying that he has time, they believe in him, doing everything they can to go out of the way to just make it clear that, yes, he needs to improve. Yes, there's some positives, but when 49er players are in the doghouse, Kyle lets us know,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I have not seen the organization put Trey in that situation. But at the same time, I don't see them coming out to defend him, and nor do I expect them to do so. If anything, I think it more signals their desire to just stash and keep Trey and not build him up to, develop some trade equity and like move him from the team. Because if you put him in these situations because you really want to see how he does, knowing that he's going to struggle, that's going to diminish or devalue your trade proposition, right? So it's like if I was of the mind to say, oh, well, they're just trying to get rid of him. They believe in Purdy and Darnold and whoever else. They've given up on him. Then what Kyle would have done is put together some tape that makes Trey look fantastic. So by the time we get to like week 3 of the season or what have you, the trade like film tape would make him look a lot better than he is. And maybe you do salvage a second rounder or some sort of pick for him, right? But that's not what Kyle did. Kyle legitimately put him to see like how he can handle some of these like setups and schemes in situations that he knew he was going to struggle. And because of that, that's what kind of leads me to believe that they haven't lost like trust or faith in him. I think the media is going to say whatever they want. Um, the problem wasn't Trey Lance in the NFC Championship game; it was offensive line, and I think that's more of a topic that's worth talking about than whether or not this guy who hasn't played,
Any football.
more than 5 snaps or starts for us, that that's the reason we didn't make it back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think in looking forward to this next week in the preseason, I don't think Trey Lance's story is completely done. It's for sure the curtains are coming, but it's in his power in this next week, seeing if he gets that second half start with an actual good old line and see how how he is when the excuses are off, when it's all on him. Because this game did look like some things were on him, some things were not, and it just sucks that the microscope is on this kid now, but he has to perform, and if he doesn't, I don't think the Niners trade him right away. The end of the end of the road with 49ers is you have to have 3 quarterbacks to stay in the dance. So I think he stays, but I just want to see more.
Yeah, man. It's a good transition in terms of the other parts of the game. Let's go into the offense and then talk about the defense from this game. As you mentioned, it's kind of hard to figure out like if is it all Trey, like what's going on. I mean, that offensive line, it looked like it was entirely comprised of backups. No Trent Williams, no Aaron Banks. I don't even know if I see McKivitz out there.
I don't even think
But
Moore's in there.
these guys were missing blocks, getting just bullied up in the middle. I think I've been saying this for a long, long time. Kyle and John's inability to pick people on the right side of the line is what has cost us championship games. Whether
Yeah.
it's Chris Jones blowing the guard in the Super Bowl, whether it's Aaron Donald blowing the guard in the NFC Championship game,
Or
whether
Hassan
it's
Reddick.
last year Hassan Riddick blowing past Tyler Croft, a tight end, off the right side to destroy Purdy's arm. I understand it's a zone blocking scheme. I understand it's lighter, quick-footed guys that don't necessarily have the size to withstand a bull rush. But these things have consistently come back to haunt us, and even in this preseason game, it was the same kind of thing. I mean, if you don't have backs that know how to pick up a blitz, if you don't have tight ends that are making the right blocks, then I know it's on the blind side, but that right side of the field is collapsing quickly. And so I think that's one of the things, aside from Trey Lance in this preseason game, that I was like kind of concerned about. Because I think in this league, you need like 7 or 8 actual linemen. And
Yeah.
that's assuming that like Banks doesn't have a regression. That's assuming that all things are good at center. That's assuming that Trent Williams doesn't miss a lot of games at left tackle. So I'm concerned about that.
Yeah. What I liked about Trey Lance using the line, or just how the line played, what we worried about last year is escaping the pocket, escaping the line, not trusting the O line, and stepping in and making the throws. The inside collapsed on him while he stepped in, so I think it's kind of a positive that our O line is going into kind of that mentality of creating a pocket that way, not just a one-on-one block and try to get your quarterback to move around. So it's cool to see, but I do need to see better talent, like in the depth of our line, because it always comes down to who has the best O line, whether it's pass protection or run block. It just looks sloppy all around.
Yeah, either who has the best O line or who's healthy at the end of the season, right? This thing's a marathon. Yeah, and then just to kind of piggyback off what you said, I do like some of the improvements that Trey has made in terms of some of the quick kind of climbing the pocket or kind of footwork type of things. I just think this is bad tape from the team overall, and
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to see. And I definitely see, I don't know, maybe just not really be on the same page with receivers, maybe like a hesitancy to throw people open. But then later on in the game, you do see some standouts like in Ronnie Bell and whatnot that really kind of like take the game and make those extra plays. So I'd like to see Trey with our starting line, with Ayuk, with Debo, players that just kind of elevate the play of everybody around them. I mean, even Kittle, no one's on the field. No CMC, no Kittle, no Juice Check,
I mean,
no
Dwelly's their
Kim
best guy,
Williams.
man.
I mean, Dwelly's there, and I think that might have been his two or three best completions were to Ross Dwelly. So I think that actually furthers my point, right? It's like this wasn't really a game to win the game. This was a game to see how Trey handles situations, and a handful of players like performed admirably. But I think even
As a
Jordan
collective,
Mason on
yeah.
one of these things kind of messes up a blitz pickup. And if you guys remember Steve Young, like that's basically what ended his career, right? Couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't block the DN, and a couple concussions later, the man's retired. So interested to see that. Interested to see a little bit more from the other guys. Any thoughts from the defensive play? I know the D line kind of got worked. Kinlaw's kind of looking just like the seventh or sixth on the depth chart. But anybody stand out for you?
Mm, no one too crazy on defense. I think Ambry Thomas is actually stepping up into being a solid cornerback 3 position. I don't know if he's going to win that slot or that nickel position, but he does look like he's improving from where he was last year and the year before. So I think that's really one that stood out for me. No one really much on the D line. What about you?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in Kinlaw. Disappointed in Givens. They weren't really getting anything going. The Raiders in this game had a few kind of veteran second-year guys, at least, that have seen a lot more playing time. So it was a pretty good test to see what it would look like. A little just overall disappointed that it looks like these group of guys are going to be the guys that just kind of come in for cleanup and mop-up duty. I'm not worried about it overall from the sense that, we did sign Hargrave. We do have Armstead. We do have, assuming Bosa signs, Bosa. And, hopefully Drake Jackson can take a step. I'm definitely looking for somebody to help that line become a little bit more dominant. I want to see what Bosa and Hargrave look like when they're lined up on the same size, right? I've been craving for the Justin Smith, Alden Smith kind of side of a D line that just completely destroys the pocket, and hoping that somebody on the other side, whether it's a Kinlaw, whether it's an Armstead, whether it's a Drake Jackson, can at least contain or really also provide some pressure to really, really provide a strong sense of urgency for these quarterbacks to get the ball out. And from what I'm seeing, Kinlaw's kind of getting pushed around. Givens, for the amount of time that he's been on this team, should have performed way better. I think that these guys, compared to people in the past that, like an Amenahue, Arden Key, or these guys that kind of get developed and leave the team for bigger deals, it looks like that well is running a little dry in terms of talent. So curious to see what happens with those guys. I think that guy Taco that we also signed, I think he had been a first or second round draft pick, spent some time with the Cowboys. Also doesn't look too great. But, it's really early on this season. It's one game. Curious to see what happens in the secondary. I feel there's some interesting battles going on back there. But, again, like, I don't know what Steve Wilkes' defensive scheme looks like. It's preseason. It's all kind of vanilla. It's kind of a
Yeah.
wash. But we'll see what happens. In terms of next game, I'm hearing that they're going to flip Darnold and Trey. So Darnold's going to get the first quarter snaps, and then Trey will probably get more in the second and third. Anything that you're looking for? Any predictions about what you've seen or what you think is coming next?
What I hope to see coming next is more play action and seeing us build a tiny little a run rhythm going on. I didn't really enjoy seeing JP and the other running backs, get stunted at the line. But I just want to see what Trey looks like, and Kyle's actual, philosophical offense was just a play action boot. I don't really want to see any more of that shotgun stuff until he's more comfortable down into the ends of the drives. Starting off in a shotgun for Trey seems like it's been tough, so I hope they address that problem this coming week. For the defense, I liked what I saw from Clinton Farrell. I want to see him do it again, just to solidify the supplemental pick for Charles Omenihu, because that's who he's filling in for, and I think he could really cover that spot if he's good enough. But I don't know. I just want to see us play collectively better.
Yeah, I agree with you. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to be kind of tough until they get some real football playing in terms of the Farrell kind of pick and whatnot. I'd see in terms of what you said with the trade thing. I don't expect that to change. I think Kyle is purposely going to just put him in these situations to see how he handles the situational football. I don't think it's so much as like, can he execute my game plan type of thing. He wants to see, can he do these little things.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It would be nice to see some good tape about him just to get people off his back. But honestly, like, that's not the goal what this football team's about. The goal of the football team is to win the championship, to win a Super Bowl, not to worry about players and their feelings. We just have a lot of eyes on us because we're the San Francisco 49ers, and we've been on the door to a championship now for what feels like 7 years, and we haven't done it. So every small little thing is going to be scrutinized, and then it should be. But that being said, when Purdy and company comes out week 1 and, players that are not even on the film for the preseason week 1 game are out there scoring touchdowns and moving the ball, people aren't going to be worried about what's going on right now.
That's true.
And that's just how it's going to be. But we'll see what happens. I think next up we have the Broncos. Curious to see how many of the starters actually play. Again, this is one of the things that kind of makes these kind of these assumptions about what's going to carry over into the season kind of difficult. A lot of these guys are playing for the practice squad and depth, and we won't really know until the season starts in Pittsburgh that what we actually got in our guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. Preseason's about showcasing what we got. I just want to see, not even just for Trey, I just want to see the whole team perform better, and I want them to feel good about what they're doing, and feel good, play good. But I think you're right. We just need to keep grinding, and these players need to find how they fit and find their roles on this team. And I do think this team is I don't think it's bad. I think it has the potential to be the same, or the same old 49ers.
Yeah, just to kind of in signing off. One positive I thought was our linebacker depth and that safety that we got. I'm curious to see what they look like with the rest of the guys. Every season's a new roster, right? It's a whole new team. I know the superstars look the same, but it's a whole thing. The kicking game needs to be looked at with those 2 kicks. Hopefully that system kind of gets cleaned up. But, we'll see how things go. I don't want to make any predictions on, like, what the season's going to look like, even once we start. I think I'd like to wait until after week 4 to really feel like who's out there and, like, what we're trying to do and, like, what we're about. And, we'll get there. So, keep the faith, and we'll see you guys next time.